Welcome to this week's video. As I told you last week, we are going to do a retelling of our birth story. I realized that there was a lot of stuff that didn't show up in our actual birth vlog because, we were kind of preoccupied. But,
well, yes.
Today is the 1-year anniversary of when I went into labor with the twins.
The laborversary.
So we thought that in honor of them turning 1 tomorrow, we would retell the birth story and include all the details that we missed the last time.
Come here! Yay! Yeah! Good job! Where's your sister? There, she's clapping down there. Yeah. Well, where do we begin?
Well, at the beginning, I guess.
At the beginning.
So, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
April 18th, 2017. And I woke up to pee, as pregnant ladies often do. And I was feeling a little bit of like abdominal discomfort. There wasn't really any pain. It just kind of was like obnoxious. And to be completely honest, I thought I was constipated. I know that's kind of like weird and embarrassing to talk about, but I honestly thought I was constipated. So I like took some stool softeners and went back to bed.
She didn't wake me up because she didn't know.
It's constipation, that's what I thought.
And you go throughout life thinking that labor is going to be this one way, and people always tell you it's going to be one way and that you're going to know when you're in labor.
I was worried all along. I said, what if I don't know I'm in labor? Because everyone's like, oh, you'll know. And I'm like, but I've never done it before, so I don't know what to expect. And they were like, trust me, you'll know. Anyway.
These babies are getting this tripod.
You're trying to stand up with the tripod?
Yeah.
So I go back to sleep. I wake up. I was supposed to be going early to the school that day to work on a project. We had agreed to meet at some horrible early hour, like 7:30 or 8 or something horrible.
Yeah. I was currently not working because I was starting a new job the following week.
Well, because I feel like you woke up that morning and you were gonna look for a sub job, but there weren't any available, and you also kind of just didn't want to.
That's true.
Anyway, so my sister was gonna take me to school. She'd been driving me to school because I was technically on bed rest. And so she was gonna take me nice and early, and I woke up and my group was like, hey, I can't actually come early, like let's just do it during class time. So I tell my sister not to worry about bringing me early, we're just gonna do it at the normal time. And then Jared and I were both kind of up. We weren't really doing anything because he'd got up to
I was like in
jobs.
bed.
There weren't really any, so he was just sitting in bed. I was just kind of, like, I was up. There was no point in going back to bed, so I was just kind of hanging out in my pajamas. And I went to the bathroom to pee again and noticed that I had started to bleed a little bit. But it was just like really, really light, and it was super pink, and they had told me when we went for our tour of labor and delivery that that kind of thing can happen, and it's usually not anything to worry about, that you should only start to worry if it comes with like intense pains or if it starts to get really heavy. Hi. Or they're eating the tripod. It's fine. So I wasn't super concerned about it. So then I just kept going about my day. Derek decided that since he didn't really find any jobs, there was like a half day or something available, but he didn't take it. So he was like, oh, I can just take you to school. So I texted my sister and told her not to worry about taking me to school, that Derek would take me. Baby!
She's walking away with it. Babies.
Careful.
Yay.
You want to come over here?
Here, let's move this a little bit. Back to where it should be.
So.
Come here, sister. We're talking about you. Yes. Come here. Yo.
Yay. So we were just kind of getting ready. It was starting to be close enough that I was like going to get ready, and of course I had to pee again. I was very pregnant. And as I was going to the bathroom, I had started to bleed a little bit more. It was a little bit darker, and so I kind of wondered if I had lost my mucus plug. And I was scheduled, hi baby, for a non-stress test after school that day. And I thought, you know what, I'll just leave it, and if I'm still like bleeding during the non-stress test, I'll just tell them, and that way if there's anything, like wrong, they can address it then. Like I'm headed, hi baby.
She's crawling. She wants to get up there.
I'm headed to the hospital later anyway. So I was planning to just go to school, and then something told me that I should just go have it checked out anyway.
Because the one lady at the hospital also told us if you bleed for any reason, come see us. So
those are mine. I need those. Yeah, so I was like, you know, it's early enough that if there's nothing wrong, I can still make it to class. So we decided to go to the hospital. I go into the room and I say to Derek, I need you to take me to the hospital.
And I was like, what?
And I was like, I'm bleeding. I think we should go to the hospital. And then I said, I don't want to wear any of my clothes. I want something comfy. So I wore one of his shirts.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, we didn't take anything with us because we didn't think we were in labor.
No, not at all.
So
She didn't have any pains. It was just like discomfort.
but nothing like different from the discomfort I kind of felt
The entire
the whole
pregnancy.
pregnancy.
Yeah.
So we go to the hospital and you have to like be buzzed in, right? Because security and babies and stuff.
Yeah.
So I press the button and they're like, how can we help you? And I'm like, well, I need to see someone in labor and delivery. And they're like, do you have an appointment? And I was like, well, no, but I need to see someone in labor and delivery. And they're like, why?
Because I'm
I
bleeding.
was like, I'm bleeding. I need to see someone in labor and delivery. So they let me in. We go down to labor and delivery. The nurse who greets us like puts us in a labor and delivery room. And then someone later comes in and is like, actually, we need to use these rooms for mothers who are actually in labor. So they move me to just like a temporary place where you would go for just a regular like non-stress test.
Yeah.
It's not like an actual room. It's just got like the curtains and everything.
Yeah.
I change into like a hospital gown. They set me up with the non-stress test and they're like asking all these questions. But of course, like they're asking things like, have you been in pain? Like how often is the pain? And I'm like, there is no pain. Like there's just kind of a little bit of discomfort. Like, you know, I am a little bit blocked up or whatever.
Yeah.
So they hook me up to the non-stress test and are watching it, and it looks, I mean, like there's a little bit of like contracting happening, but not enough that they were like wanting to keep me. And so they called my doctor to let her know what was going on. And she said, well, go ahead and check if she's dilated just to see, since she is having these contractions. So they come in to check, and I am dilated to a 7, and no one knew.
And no one knew.
I didn't know. The nurses didn't think I was in labor. Like,
They were so doubtful. They were like, oh yeah, you'll be out of
well,
here.
yeah, and the one girl was like, in future, you don't really need to come for blood that's this light. When they say dark, they mean, don't eat that, baby. That's so not good.
Oh no.
They were like, usually what they mean is like dark, like almost brown, like period kind of blood, because that means
Come see me.
worse things than just like a little bit of bleeding. But my cervix was stretching, so I was bleeding for real.
The nurse comes
In
in and
labor.
she was like, so you're dilated to a 7. So we're gonna keep you.
So then they put me back in a labor and delivery.
Back in a labor room.
And they just started hooking me up to all the things. And because apparently that's what was going on inside the womb.
That's what she
good
was
to
thinking.
know, baby.
This baby's doing her head thing. Hello.
So, yeah, I had no clue I was in labor. No one thought I was in labor, but I was. So they hooked me up to all the IVs and everything. I had to get some sort of something. I don't even remember anymore. But because they were so early, we were only at 32 weeks. We'd already had the steroid shot, but there was something else that my doctor had planned to give me at our next visit, which didn't happen. Which we had been to the doctor the day before.
True.
And no one had been concerned about me going into labor. So anyway, there were like antibiotics and stuff that we had to get pumped into me. And then they came to do my epidural. And that was weird.
Didn't your like face go numb?
Everything kind of went weird.
She went weird and tingly. And like she was gonna pass out.
Like I got weird like tunnel vision, like everything went blurry and I couldn't really see, and like my ears felt really like I couldn't really hear anything.
You lost your hearing too.
And I got really weird and dizzy, and it was super weird. But
how did they get rid of it? Because I feel like you said something to me and I was like, she says she's losing her vision. And the guy was like, oh.
She says she feels weird. Hey. Hi. What do you need?
Attention.
Did you play with Mom's phone? Okay. So, the epidural was really weird, and then he'd have trouble kind of getting it in because he said that my spine is twisted.
She has scoliosis, but
not like
not
the curvy scoliosis. Like my spine is like twisted, which is weird. But that's what he said was going on. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I started to feel weird and they just kind of like stopped for a minute and let it pass and then everything was like fine. Because they weren't even sure it was the epidural. They said it could have been one of the other things they gave me. So like, it just kind of passed, but it was really weird there for a minute. I felt very strange. And then we basically just played the waiting game for a really long time.
The waiting game was my favorite for one reason, and one reason alone. In the hospital that we delivered in, they gave me free slushies. And it was peach lemonade flavored. And it was delicious. And I loved every single one of them. And sometimes I craved them. They were so good. It was so good.
They would put flavoring on my ice chips for me.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
And like, the epidural makes you numb, right? But it also made me really itchy. So I'd like scratch my belly, but I couldn't feel it because it was numb. And then later, after I'd given birth, I realized I'd scratched myself so hard that I was bleeding.
Yeah.
So anyway, we waited for a really long time. We were admitted into the hospital at like 10 a.m. And I had dilated, by the time we hit like 8 o'clock that night, I was at like a 9. But I had been at a 9 for like a really long time and I wasn't really progressing.
Mm-hmm.
So my doctor said we could break my waters then, or we could wait till the next morning. So we decided to wait.
Mm-hmm. Baby,
oh, baby.
Hello.
You want that?
Yeah. Well, I hope we're still in frame.
So.
Here, we'll try and put it back to where it was. I don't know if any of this is working.
Who knows? So we decided to wait.
Hi, Gavin. Hi, Gavin.
That cat's having an aneurysm. Because I figured that, you know, every little bit helped with these little preemie babies.
Mm-hmm.
And then at like 5 o'clock the next morning, they decided to break my waters. So they did.
And here they are!
And so we had to deliver in the OR in case they needed...
Excuse you, baby.
In case they needed to do an emergency C-section. Both girls were head down, but they say that sometimes when one twin delivers, the other one will flip because suddenly they'll be like, look
at all this room!
But we did not have to have an emergency C-section. Yeah. Both girls came out. They were 5 minutes apart. Dallas was having some trouble breathing. But they were able to get her breathing.
She came out and she like cried and she got air in her lungs. She's real good at crying now. She got air in her lungs, but then she
not go over the back of the couch.
But then she like stopped.
Yeah.
Breathing.
So
they couldn't get her to like breathe on her own.
They took them both to the NICU and put Dallas on oxygen. For the first little while, Ella was not on oxygen. But a couple days later, they had to put Ella on the oxygen. But, so we finished delivery. They took me back to the labor and delivery room. And they were doing that horrible thing where they press on your uterus to expel all the blood, which is the worst part of giving birth, in my opinion. I don't know why you just want to be in. Why do you want to be in the kitchen? What is in the kitchen that you want?
I came here.
What's in the kitchen that you want? Do we need to take a break and get you something to eat?
Are you hungry? Go see your sister.
So, it got to the point that as they're trying to get all the blood out, I was just bleeding more than they wanted me to be. So they, hi, I think we should probably take a little break and give you something to eat.
And cut.
Okay, and we're back. Here we are. So, I was bleeding more than they wanted me to be. So they decided that I probably had some retained placenta. So they rushed me off to the OR, and the actual OR, not the C-section OR.
Oh, yes.
And they had to do a D&C to scrape out the remaining placenta. And they did put me under, but
You definitely woke up.
I ended up waking up before they were finished.
Ooh.
Yeah. And like when you're numb, you know, you can still feel like the pressure and stuff. And I could like feel them scrape. It was horrible. It was so bad. I hated it so much. And I remember just lying there thinking, please let it almost be done. Please let it almost be done.
Like, did you say that you were awake?
No. Because it's a really weird thing coming out of it. Anesthesia.
And you can't really speak.
Yeah. And they were almost done. It really didn't last too long. Maybe 5 or 10 minutes, which kind of sucks and is a long time when you're like wanting it to be over. But they finished and they gave me those wonderful warm blankets that they have in the hospital. And they took me to the weird recovery room where they just like have lots of people lying in beds who have just had surgery. And there were a bunch of lady nurses who came and were just like trying to chit the chat with me about my twins. And I like couldn't really talk because I'm like coming out of anesthesia and I'm like, But there was this one really nice nurse who kept feeding me ice chips and put some chapstick on for me, and she was really nice.
So kind.
And then they took me to Mother Baby after that, where you were waiting for me.
Yeah, I had, when she went into surgery, I went home and took a shower and, like, got ready. Got her clothes and all of her, like, hospital bag, because we went to the hospital not knowing that we were going to have babies.
So we
didn't take anything. So when she delivered, I mean, I think I went home while you were, like, prepping for delivery and things, just, like, waiting for water to break. I think I went home and, like, got some stuff and came back.
No, my sister got it for us.
That's right.
Tenica came and got the key, and she went home and got some stuff for us.
And then
and checked on
after
the
you
cats.
had the baby, that's when I went
Yeah.
home. Got ready. And then I just had to wait for her to, like, show back up.
But before you went home, you went in to sign all the paperwork for the girls in the NICU. You and
True.
my dad went to the NICU.
We did. I saw the babies first.
Yeah, because my dad worked at the hospital where we delivered, so you better believe as soon as those babies were born, he was there.
He was there.
He was probably waiting outside the whole time I was delivering.
Absolutely.
Well, no, because that was pretty early in the morning. But I'm pretty sure he got to work and first thing he did was come down because they'd been born.
I believe that.
So he was there with Derek as they figured out all the NICU stuff because I was in surgery. So Derek got to see the babies post-delivery before I did. It was actually it was a long time before I got to see the babies.
Yeah, because she had the DNC, and so she wasn't, like, walking ready to, like, wander down to the NICU. But then they figured out they could just, like, wheel her bed down.
Well, that was later.
Oh.
We went down, you took me down in a wheelchair the first time, but
That's
it had
right.
still been several hours. It wasn't until, like, I feel like we went at, like, 9 o'clock at night. It was the first time I got to go see them. And I don't think I held them. I think they were just in their incubators, and I just got to see them.
That's true.
But I ended up having, like, I started getting weird. And, like, I kept telling everyone that I was fine. And then I, like, threw up randomly and was, like, vomiting. And so they were like, you're not fine. So they ended up doing a blood transfusion, and I got 2 units of blood. And that was when they came down and they were like, they're just wondering when you want to come see your girls. And I was like, well, can't really go anywhere because they're pumping blood into me. And the NICU girls came down to see if I was coming because it had been a while since I'd been to see the girls. And they were like, well, let's take you down. So they like wheeled my bed and all my blood through the hospital down to the NICU, plugged everything in down in the girls' bay, and brought me both girls to do my first skin-to-skin with them. So I didn't really get to do any skin-to-skin with them until like that second day.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just wheeled my whole hospital bed down. Brought both girls into the one little area, and I got to hold them for the first time together. You okay?
Just getting bottles.
Okay.
That's not yours, but
Whatever.
go ahead.
They share everything.
Well, this has been a long video.
That's because a lot happened.
You're right.
We did. My sweet husband stayed every single night with me.
I did.
And that probably won't get to happen next time.
Because twins.
Because you'll have to come home to the babies.
Yeah. But also, hopefully we're not at the hospital for 4 days.
We did have to stay an extra couple days because of my blood transfusions, and my blood levels were low and weird, and so I feel like we were there. We went in on Tuesday and we were there till Saturday.
It was like a long time.
So almost a week. Hi. I guess it wasn't almost a week. It felt like a week. Come here. Hi, are you coming? No? Okay.
No.
So anyway, that's kind of the more in-depth version of our birth story. I definitely didn't know I was in labor. And here they are, almost done. Almost done.
Yay! Ha!
And everything turned out fine. They had to be in the NICU for 5 weeks, but they're doing great now.
Doing good. Causing trouble.
Yeah.
Being sisters.
Hello.
Hello.
You coming up here too?
Hello. Woohoo! And here they are. Double the trouble.
My little princesses.
Here's our first baby.
And our second baby.
Yay!
Yay! So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you are not subscribed to our family vlog channel, you probably should do that too so that you can see the Twincesses' first birthday tomorrow and their very first birthday party on Saturday.
You fairy princesses?